Welcome back to Pentagramprime, everybody. I recently got bored enough to play around with KSP Career Mode, and I think it was in the shower when it hit me that I might be able to make more precise landings if I attach winglets to my rocket. I also learned recently that Kerbal Space Program does not automatically offer you contracts that you are necessarily qualified to complete, and that it is the responsibility of the player to choose the appropriate contract for their position in the tech tree. This painful learning experience reminds me of one that I once had dealing with the absolute value signs that come up in the solutions to certain differential equations. This rocket was hardly perfect, but I wasn't feeling motivated enough at the time to build a new one, and it shows. But my goal was simple: just complete a contract, any contract, even if I had to do it at a loss. And since I didn't say so earlier, I should mention that this contract involved flying over 3 separate targets and taking crew reports below a particular altitude. Now, the reason I chose this contract was because it did not require me to land, unlike the one that I canceled. I think I knew going into this flight that there was going to be the same issues as before, but I had to know for sure. Booster separation, and no amount of dexterity is going to keep this thing stable, and I'm still in no mood to rebuild this thing. But all is not lost. I'm not just a gamer, I know physics. Now, if you're NASA and you've got a budget, then you probably care about things like the cost of stages, fuel, as well as astronauts' lives. But we're dealing with Kerbals here, and like fuel, they're just numbers in my MacBook's memory. So instead of staging the solid rocket boosters, I'm just going to hang on to them and let the added mass and drag stabilize the rocket. There's a penalty, of course, and I got a little bit worried when I noticed my speed starting to tick downwards. Center core burnout, and we're ready to dump everything below the second stage, or third stage depending on how you define it. For me personally, second stage usually corresponds to some sort of vacuum engine that's taking over from the previous one. So from here, I'm making a lot of little last minute corrections to my trajectory. I put winglets on the command module because I wanted the ability to steer towards my target once I was inside of the atmosphere using SAS. Quite by accident, I found that I could avoid doing that just by periodically burning the engine and keeping my trajectory as vertical as possible as I got closer to the target area. A lot of experimentation with the nav ball here. Sometimes it was obvious. For example, if you burn retrograde, then you're going to hit the ground sooner. But other times I simply chose a direction, fired the engine, and watched the movement on the thin blue line. As I said earlier, my goal was to make my approach as vertical as possible, and thus avoid flying both into and out of the target zone before I'd had a chance to record a crew report per my contract. This might be a good time to mention some background on the mission at hand. The board of directors at Stedler Engineering Corps have raised some, Stedler's not real anyways, who cares? Bottom line, we got to do a crew report below 16,900 meters near this thing. And my mom had high hopes of me succeeding as a rocket scientist when I went off to college, so I'd better be able to fulfill this contract even if I'm being paid monopoly money. And we're in the zone, crew report, and we're good. I would go on to complete 2 more crew reports at the respective locations. Unfortunately, my desire to watch the engine crash into the ocean caused me to neglect Jeb Kerman's need for a parachute until it was too late, and he unfortunately perished fulfilling the obligations of our second contract. But Valentino stepped in, and to my surprise, not only did I regain my loss in reputation for killing Jeb, I actually came out ahead. Till next time, this is Pentagramprime signing off.